Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar. Today we have with us Dr. Somkid Boonlonlear. He is a Director of Economic Stability Analysis Division, Bureau of Macroeconomic, Fiscal Policy Office of the Ministry of Finance. Dr. Somkid this afternoon will present the action that the Ministry of Finance and the Thai government is putting in place to support the Thai economy, from big companies, public companies, down to the small, medium enterprises and the bank. After the presentation, Dr. Somkid and his team will be also available to reply to some questions that you might have. Now I will leave you the stage, Dr. Somkid. You can share your presentation with the share screen. And thank you again from all of us for your time.
Okay, sure. Thank you, Michele. Okay, I would like to show my presentation slide. So just few minutes to share. Michele, you just give me to be a host again. In order to show my presentation, let me become a host again.
Okay. Yes, we can see.
Okay. Sorry for the technical problem. Thank you, Michele, and the was known for the participants who are in Thailand or Bangkok, and Sawe, buongiorno. To the participant from Italy. Today I'm very happy to present to you, to us about the Thailand economic outlook and the policy framework. With actually there are some technical terms, especially in the economics, but I try to explain simply for the participants who are not familiar with the economic terms. So let me begin with the Thailand recent economic situation. As well, we may know that in the 2019 last year, the Thai economy expanded by 2.4% per year, slower than that of the 2018, which was expanded by 4.2%. In this year, 2020, unfortunately, that we are facing of the unprecedented coronavirus pandemics that hit very hard to both the global and also the Thai economy. The latest real GDP in the fourth quarter of this year, just released by the Thai National Economic and Social Development Council this morning, for the actual GDP of the fourth quarter was contracted by 1.8%. The first quarter of this year, it's not a good news for us. So for the GDP growth, we can have the it's just a kind of technical term that let me try to explain the very simple. Looking at the expenditure side of the GDP growth, it's composed of the four main components, which are the private consumption. It's the first one. The second one is the private investment. The third component is the fiscal sector, including the private public consumption and the public investment. And the final component of the GDP growth on the demand side is the we call the international trade, comprising the export minus import. So let me first move to the first component of the GDP growth, the private consumption.
Dr. Somkid, sorry,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt. There is some participant that needs to join, and as being a host, you will have a pop-up under participant. You just admit new people in the bottom part of the screen.
Okay.
Just in case, because some people are texting me that try to log in. Okay.
So, so it could be so I have to no.
You will have like some information like popping up with a participant admission. You just admit, because as host you need to admit maybe some late comer. Sorry to interrupt. You can go ahead with the presentation.
Okay. Maybe that. It's okay. Let's go on. Okay, quickly for the private consumption. So we can see that our indicators are all indicators of the private consumption, which are the real value added tax, imports on the consumption goods, the passenger car sales, registration of the new motorcycle, consumer confidence index, and the real firm income. Unfortunately, that's if we look at the figure of the private consumption indicators, in March, it showed the negative indicator. So in other words, the contraction or the decline of the all indicator in the private consumption, reflecting the situation of the coronavirus outbreaks that heavily affect to the consumption of the private sector. The next slide is about the private investment as well. So we can see the downward trend and also the decline of the indicator on private sector, both in the equipment investment and the construction investment. Yes, again, affected by the outbreak of the COVID-19 and also the lockdown impact. So let me explain that the coronavirus pandemics that leads to the country lockdown. So I think for the economic impact has been affected by the country lockdown, resulting from the containment measure. So that's why if we look at the indicators of the GDP growth in private consumption, private investment, they'll show the decline or the drop of the investment and the consumption in the private sector from the locking down of the countries starting from in March and April, 2 months that have the getting very serious severe situation for the Thai economy. But for the fiscal sector, the next components of the GDP growth, the fiscal sectors. Actually, this slide showed about the public consumption and the public investment, as you can see on the current expenditure. The current expenditures reflect the public consumption, and the capital expenditures show the indicator of the public investment. Maybe you may know that we have the long delay of the budget bill, fiscal years 2020, which should be started from the 4th of October last year. But because of the new government, the new election last year, that the new government took the office quite really, so that it has the delay on the budget bill of the fiscal year 2020 from October to be approved by the parliament just around the end of the February. So if we look at the fiscal sector indicator, it's shown that in March there was a huge expenditure on the current expenditure and the capital expenditure starting from March of this year at the highest percentage goals. That reflects the going on of the fiscal budgets, the disbursement to the Thai economy starting from March until to the the strong governments and the effective parliaments to be available to approve the budget bills from into the timely to the appropriate time according to the schedule of the setting up the budgets. The next indicator is the export of goods. Export of goods actually is share accounting for around the 54.3 of GDP. That actually this hello ไม่ได้ยินสงสัยโดนอินเทอร์รัปไป Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear.
Okay. Let me go on. Okay, for the export, last year the Thai export has been hit by the we call the trade war. Last year, the trade war between the United States and the China, US-China trade war, that also impacted our exports. That from last year, our export export of goods grew, not grew. I mean, the contracted by the 3.6%, resulting from the mainly from the trade war between two countries. However, if we look at the destination on the export destination that by this slide, we can see that last year we luckily that we have the kind of the signal of the I can call like a trade diversion. It's been we exported to the U.S. at the highest higher growth more than the exporting to China. So if we look at last year the export by destination, we will see our export to the U.S. was jump very very high compared to exporting to China, which was the decline. So it is so it reflects some of the diversion of the export destination from China to US. That's what the last year's scenario. But for this year, unfortunately, again, we are facing the new severe coronavirus pandemic. So that's why the Thai export got the quite a drop again to the our major trading partners. However, the good news is that the indicators of the export by destination in March showing the it's kind of the goods expansion. I mean the slightly the goods of the export growth to the several countries. For example, U.S. You can see the on the green color. Our export in March to U.S. they expanded by the 42.9%, as well as the export to our Southeast Asian countries like ASEAN, for example, the Singapore and Indonesia. The export also grew in March as well, and the growth rate also grew of the export to Taiwan and Hong Kong as well as in the yellow color. Yellow color has been the improving of the export to these countries. For the import scenario is quite similar to export. I mean, from last year scenario that shown the decline of the import from many countries. That's why the last year our import of goods dropped by the 5.5%, similar to the drop on the export of goods. But looking at the number in March last month, the indicator that we track on it's begin to show the good side of the import in March, especially from the raw materials and the fuel, which are actually raw material and fuel is they reflect the what we call like the importing goods for add value to be our final product because the raw material, and then we can transfer to our final products and export again. So the positive side of the import of raw material reflects the good side that the industry or the many business are trying are having to import this material to produce more. We can see it again when we move to the next slide of the supply side indicator. So in GDP, not only we track on the demand side, which are, as I said, that the private the consumption, the investment, the fiscal sector, and the export and import. But on the other hand of the supply side of the GDP growth, or in other words, the production side. So we it's also show the proportion of the production structure in Thailand divided into three main sectors. The first is the agricultural production. Second is the industrial sector, and the last highest share of the GDP is the services, which is can I go on?
Devo ancora fare i retri.
Hello?
Sì.
Hello?
Finito di dire, devo ancora fare i retri. Sì.
Okay. Can I move on? Hello?
Yes, yes. So you can.
Okay.
Go ahead with the presentation.
I got some interrupt from showing on the screen. Okay, let's move on. Looking at the economic growth in terms of the supply side, there are also some indicators to measure the three production sector, as I mentioned. For example, the agricultural production index (API), which indicates the production on agricultural products. If we look at the figure, unfortunately again that we got the contraction of the production in agriculture starting since last year. It has been dropped by the 0.6%, and it's dropped again to 6.3% from year to date. I mean, from the first quarter of this year. Similar to the industrial sector, indicated by the industrial production index, also dropped. There's also dropped, similar to the agricultural sector. For the industrial sector, that there are the three indicators that we use to track on the monthlies for the production in industrial sector, which are the industrial production index. The second is the capacity utilization. For the capacity utilization, we say that it's just around 66.7% of utilization. So meaning that we still need to get the higher capacity for producing the industrial products. This 66.7, I think is it shows the the slides the utility of the industrial capacity. The third index for the industrial sector is the sentiment index. You can see the Thai industry sentiment index, which is a sentiment index to show the confidence of the Thai business towards to the economic situation or the industrial production. The sentiment index, I think it showed a good side around the 90s level, so meaning that the Thai business in the manufacturing and industrial sector still have the good confidence on the Thai economy, to allow them to produce more when the economic situation is good. But for the services sector, indicated by the number of the foreign tourist arrival, unfortunately, that if we know that Thailand's one of the main defense cost of our economy is from the tourists, from the foreign tourists in the tourism industry. However, looking at the figure, it shows the huge drop of the foreign tourists coming to Thailand because of the impact of the lockdown in Thailand, and also the disruption of the traveling because the airports we may know that's at the result of the country lockdown. That's why the foreign tourists coming to Thailand have been massively dropped by from the year to date. It's dropped by the 38%. So the very huge slowing down of the service sector. However, looking into our economic stability, showing by the internal and external stability, including the banking and the fiscal stability. All indicators show the solid stability of the Thai economy. Let me explain into the triple low figure and the triple high figure, but the triple low and the triple high all are show the positive solid fundamental of the Thai stability. The triple low, number one, is the inflation rate. Inflation rate in Thailand is very low. So looking at last 2 months in March, the headline inflation was only 0.5% year on year, very low. This is the first low that is good for the stability. The second low is the unemployment rate. So we can see that from many years, Thailand has quite a low unemployment rate. So far, is purely the 1% of the total employment. The meaning that the Thai people still have a job, and that's why in many industry we have to import the foreign employees working in Thailand, especially the worker from the neighboring countries coming to be the employee in many business in Thailand. So the second law of unemployment also still reflect our stability in the real economy. The third law is the non-performing loans law. Looking at this slide, it shows the 1.5% of the net NPL to the total loan. It's very small. So meaning that in the financial sector or the banking business, where we have the small small defaults or small the non-performing of the loan in this business. It also show the good stability in the financial sector. And the triple high, the good high for the Thai stability. The first one is the high of the foreign reserve. You can see at the external economic stability, the high foreign reserve in March was the 227.2 billion US dollar. So this reserve, they accounted for at least Thailand is as one of the top 10 or top 12 of the high foreign reserve country in the world, showing by the foreign reserve is the first high. The second high is the current account balance. High is still surpassed at the 7% of the GDP last year. And the third high of the figure is the capital adequacy ratio, which is higher than the BIS ratio, the Bank for the International Settlement standards. So, meaning that the Thai commercial banks have the adequate capital to run their business, to provide the credits and the many banking business to their customer. And the final of the stabilities is from the fiscal sector. The fiscal sector has been the stability has been indicated by the public debt to GDP. The public debt to GDP is in March was the 41.3% of to GDP, lower than our we call the medium-term fiscal sustainability frameworks that we set out at around 60% of GDP. So meaning that the government still have more room, the fiscal room to borrow more to borrow in order to support the Thai economy facing with the COVID-19 so far. And most of the public debts are the domestic debt and also the long-term debt. So these are the economic situation that I explained. I think I use this very more time to explain. But so this slide is really important to show the participants about the outlook of the Thailand economics outlook or the forecast of this year. This slide I capture the figures from the NESDC, the National Economic and Social Development Council, which in the morning just released their outlook of the Thai economy in this year. Looking at the real GDP for this year, unfortunately, again and again, that's we forecast the huge drop of the real GDP to on average 5.5%. I think it's quite similar to the previous month that the Bank of Thailand also forecast the Thai GDP this year getting the yield of allows the 5.3%. Yeah, for 5.3% or 5.5% is it reflects our slowing down of our economic growth by these years. And looking at the components of the real GDP, the private consumption is projected to contract by 1.7%, as well as the private investment dropped by 4.2%. Exports of goods get the huge decline by 8% growth, and the import as well declined by the 13.2%. So it's not a good scenario for the Thai economy this year. That's why the next part of this station is the government response to the Thai economy facing with the severe outbreak of the coronavirus. The government's policies or measures that I would like to present to you. There are three main package. We call the package of the economic relief to reduce the impacts of the coronavirus on Thai economy, starting from February to April. The first, actually, on the 4th of February this year. In fact, I would like to say that this is we call it like the initial phase, initial package of the government response to the COVID-19 at the early stage, because during that time, in January this year, and after the spread was started in China from the I am not wrong, it's the beginning of the year. So we have been affected by the coronavirus, reflected by the huge dropping of the Chinese tourists coming to Thailand at that time. Not only Chinese tourists, but also some foreign tourists as well. That's why the government decide to mitigate the impact of the virus on tourism industry by giving the fiscal, especially the tax measures and the loan measure or the financial measure to support the tourism industry this year. So there are several tax measures and also the loan measure. For example, for the tax measure, the government extended the deadline of the tax filing or paying tax from March to June. It's been to extend the tax filing to the business. This is one measure, and also the tax deduction on the expense in organizing the seminar in Thailand. Actually that's the tax deduction before facing of the lockdown that affected to the hotel business. However, okay, if the hotel business want to organize, so it can be got the tax deduction, and also the 1.5 time of tax deduction for the hotel renovation. So it's a good time for the hotel business to renovate their business, getting the 1.5 time of the tax deduction according to this tax measure. And also the reducing of the tax of the excise tax on the jet fuel. This measure also released before the disruption in the airport and in the airline business. So, but okay, because that's what the February measure. For the loans measure, is quite similar to what I try to explain to the next package. There are two significant measure of the loan measure. The first one is the extension or the suspension of the debt payment of the entrepreneur or the business for the particular periods. Yes. And the second loan measure is to provide a soft loan to the business. But in this initial package was also mainly provided by the we call the specialized financial institution or the SFI. In other words, is like a state-owned financial institution. So after that, together with the severe situation of the COVID-19, so the cabinet approved on the 10th of March to release the phase one of the relief package to help both household or the people and the business or the entrepreneur affecting by the coronavirus pandemic. So let me explain shortly because I think its time is quite running out. It's quite similar. Okay, it's quite similar to our initial package, but we target directly to the households or the people and the entrepreneur. For example, to the phase one, the phase one measure. 3 minutes, so I will stop now. The phase one measure, so we have the five measure for the people and 12 measure to the entrepreneur. And the phase two of the package, the cabinet approved on the 24th of March 2020. The highlight of the second phase is the cash handout 5,000 baht for 3 months to the informal sector, as well as the many measures to help the entrepreneur or business in both the tax measure and the loan measure. It's quite similar to the previous package. For the phase two, also the government also has the additional measure to support the tourism business by giving the excise tax, the reducing the excise tax to the fuel to the airline business, for example, and the last slide is the the recent or the latest government's response, the government's economics relief package approved by the cabinet on the April 17. There are three portions of the relief package. The first one is the emergency decree on loan for the economic relief, 1 trillion baht. The 1 trillion baht come from the borrowing of the government. That we may know that in this day in Thailand, the Ministry of Finance issue the government bond to the domestics in order to get the money to finance all the project, including the cattle house. The second measure is to give a hand to the Bank of Thailand to issue the soft loan for the business sector, especially the SME. That is the soft loan measure handled by the Bank of Thailand. This is the second measure. The third one is also hand on to the Bank of Thailand to help the financial sector, especially in the bond market, by setting up we call the corporate bond liquidity stability fund, or BSF, in order to mitigate the impact or the panic of the investor in the bond market in Thailand. The amount is setting at the 400 billion baht. Yeah. So these are the economics information and outlooks, especially macroeconomics indicator, and also the government response to the COVID-19 by giving the 3 or 4 economic package to help both people, the household, and the business to be survived from this kind of the very tough situation affected by the COVID-19. Okay, let me stop my presentation. I'm sorry that it takes too long. And Garcia. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Somkid. Okay, now we can open a Q&A answer session. We have a question from Enrico D. Enrico, would you like to ask directly your question?
Yes, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much for this useful session. I work for Pirelli, a tire company, and my question is about the latest information that we can get from the news about an anti-dumping action that's been filed in the United States. I understand that this is not directly linked to the COVID-19 situation, so if I will not be able to get the answer about this question during this session, I will understand the reason why. But anyway, I believe that the tire industry is very important for Thailand. The tire manufacturing industry is very important for Thailand. Thailand was exporting, I think, up to 45 million tires to the United States in 2019. And this anti-dumping action can be very detrimental for the overall Thai economy and export. So I would like to know if there is any action the Thai government will take in order to sustain the local manufacturer and to sustain the export to United States.
Okay, can I answer one by one? Okay, thank you for your question. But I'm sorry to say that for the anti-dumping, actually for the governments, the agency is responsible by the Ministry of Commerce. Ministry of Commerce, they have the one department directly look after for this kind of anti-dumping to US. But that is okay. It's the good question, and it's also the good news for me from the Minister of Finance to know about the anti-dumping having with the US so far. Yeah, therefore, in terms of the macroeconomic point of view, it's not good. It's not good if we have this kind of the problems or the kind of the non-tariff barrier to the international trade, like anti-dumping. So I hope that we can pay more attention. I mean the government action. They also want to solve this kind of the non-tariff measure in one way or another, in order to let the business or the export getting the good benefit from the world test. So,
Mr. Somkid, thank you very much for the answer, and apologies if I addressed this question to you. I understand that it's not the Ministry of Finance, but it's the Ministry of Commerce. I appreciate the fact that anyway the Ministry of Finance is giving attention to it. The tire industry is very important for Thailand, and Thailand is one of the most important markets in Southeast Asia. So we appreciate all the effort of the Thai government in sustaining this industry.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Somkid, can you allow me to be host again?
Yeah, please. Hello?
Yes, if you can allow me to be the host. And of course, we will share with the participant also the presentation, and we will publish the video as soon as possible on YouTube channel. And of course, if you have any request in the meantime, you can type it on the chat, or you can raise hand by using the chat on the right part of your screen.
Okay.
Is there any progress like regarding regarding like the Thai FTA between the EU? Is there any progress?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry that my staff like to you would like to ask the sub question to the floor. So please allow us to ask. Yeah.
So we have questions. Just I just want to know, like, since probably negotiation for the FTA, the EU, Thailand, or is there any progress, or like how do you feel about the FTA between Thai and EU, and the sentiments from the EU or from Italy about FTA or free trade agreement?
Dr. Somkid, did you hear the question?
No. Actually, this question belongs to my staff, and he want to raise that what do you think of the having the free trade agreement between Thailand and the EU, including the Italy. I think do you know the process, or is actually is begin, so or still on studying? I'm not sure. So if you can answer it, it's very appreciate. So it's appreciate that. So just to let the question about the free trade agreement between the Thailand and EU. If you know information, please yes.
We understand, for example, we understand from the Italian embassy that there is some official opening in talking between a EU delegation and Thailand. We saw it recently in the case of Italy that, for example, Italian Apple are now allowed into the Thai market. But from what we understand is a process that, including all the European countries, it would take some years to activate the commerce between unlocking some categories, some services, some product exchange between Thailand and the European countries interested. So it's not something that is going to take few weeks, but we understand some year overall.
Right. Thank you. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask us if we have time.
I have a question. My name is Domenico and I work for Danieli.
Yes, please, Mr. Ambrosino, please.
Yes. I would like to understand if there is an overview on Thai currency value compared to US dollar and with euro. Do we have to expect additional volatility, or the exchange rate is going to be stable like it has been for the past 1 month? Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your question. For the Thai baht against the US dollar, now I think it's moving on track. I mean that if we compare to the one indicator such as the we call the US dollar index. So it is one of the indicator that we tag on our currency to the US currency. So last year there was the big difference between the bilateral Thai bahts, the appreciation, very huge appreciation against the US dollar, and last year the US index high. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, the US index last year stay to the right direction, but for the Thai baht against US is the contradiction. It's not going to the same trend. However, starting from this year beginning, if I'm not wrong, so after the coronavirus spreading, so we can see the depreciation of the Thai baht against US dollar, and it's moved along the US index in the same direction. So it shows okay, among the bad news about the coronavirus, there is the good news about the baht, the currency that can go along with the normal normal depreciation. I mean the normal trend along with the others regional currencies. So right now the baht per US dollar is fluctuated or moving around 32 to 32.5 baht per US dollar, which is I think is the appropriate number, the appropriate price of the two currency, and I hope that the Ministry of Finance, my department has already assumed the Thai baht against US dollar into our assumption this year to have allowed to move is allowed 32.5% by this year. But for next year is we also assume a bit appreciation of the Thai baht against US might be moved to the allow 32 baht. But however, the price the exchange rate of the 32 baht per US dollar, I think is for me, for my personal way, I think that is the appropriate level compared to last year or previous year. That's we got the 230 bahts per US dollar. That's what the very bad situation of the Thai baht appreciation last year. But the reason for the last year why the Thai baht is was very strong. So maybe because yes, looking at this one reason that I explained to my slide about the country's economic stability. So you see that in Thailand we have the strong foundation, we have the strong stabilities. For example, the foreign reserve which is really high, and the slow inflation, and the surplus on the current account balance. So that is like the fundamental reason to keep the Thai baht appreciates against US dollar. However, but it's too strong. Even we have the good solid stabilities. Thank you. I hope I can answer your question.
You did. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambrosino. And Dr. Somkid, I would like to ask you, we saw some week ago that the government was suggesting I believe mostly Thai people not to rush the gold shop and exchange their gold for cash. Probably it was about 1 month ago when everyone was extremely worried about having some money. And right now, how do you think the situation is for this gold as, let's say, a saving means and cash in the hands of the consumers?
If I understand clearly your question, you're asking about the selling gold, the gold selling situation last month that we have the gold rush, right?
Yes, correct.
I think the situation is back to normal now, and the gold of price is higher and higher. Yes. And the problem last month, if I remember, the major or the gold shops, they're willing to buy gold from the people, but they have the short liquidity. I mean, they have no money to buy gold. Yes, I heard that news too. However, I think so the liquidity perspective now had been solved so far. So that's why in the recent news we have any news about the shortage of the liquidity in the buying and selling gold in the market in Thailand right now. Yeah. So the problem is it's come from the liquidity that the gold shop they want to buy gold, but they don't have the money at that time because there's so many people want to sell the gold, but they could not afford buying them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I understand. And I would like to ask if anybody of the audience now is willing to make some requests. You can also raise your hands through the chat. Sorry.
มีใครมีคำถามมีคนยกมือแล้วไงต้องกดไม่ใช่
Okay, Dr. Somkid, perhaps we can share your presentation with the participants of today.
Yes. Yeah, I appreciate. Yeah, please.
Okay. Anyhow, I believe that there are no more questions so far, and perhaps we can close this session for today. And okay, I would like to first of all thank you a lot for your time, and also for taking the time to prepare and organize a very detailed presentation to frame the situation right now and your forecast. And it will be very useful also to be displayed among the participants. And from our side, as a TICC, the Italian Chamber of Commerce, we will keep promoting, of course, business as much as possible. From next week, we will be back to office full time, also from our side. And we will keep doing webinars.